Jenna Butler, and I'm excited today to be presenting the work to you done by myself and Sonia, looking at the gratitudes and challenges software engineers faced while working from home during the recent COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned, I'm Dr. Jenna Butler. I have my PhD in bioinformatics from Western University, and I'm an adjunct professor at Bellevue College, as well as a senior software engineer at Microsoft. My partner, Sonia, got her PhD from Harvard University and is a senior researcher at Microsoft in the Office of the Chief Economist. So when we think about the new future of work, I think a lot of people have been asking, at least asking me, is it going to be home or is it going to be at work? What's it going to look like? Is it working or is it not working? Is a lot of this or that. But we think it's really going to be more of an and. It's a both and. The new future seems to be bringing together work and life in new ways, and there's both positives and negatives because of that. So we did a diary study. Now there has been some previous work in this space. So at Baidu in China, they studied 139 developers while they went work from home during the pandemic, and they found both positive and negative impacts on developer productivity, depending on what quantitative measures they looked at. There's also been studies similar to ours where they've looked at the transition between work and home. The Switchbot Study, for example, looked at how to help people detach from work and reattach to work the next day. Now that the boundaries between work and life are so much blurrier, this detaching and reattaching could potentially be a lot more important. And lastly, there's been a lot of studies looking at gratitude, which is important in our diary study. Specifically, Fredrickson et al., after the 2001 terrorist attack, looked at the impact of gratitude on coming back from traumatic events, and they found that people who expressed gratitude had less depressive symptoms and had more positive symptoms and more post-traumatic growth. So for our diary study, we asked people to fill in every day how satisfied they were, what was the hardest part, and what was something they were grateful for. And we purposely made grateful mandatory so that people would also be in a study to see how being grateful impacted them. We've got so far 4,600 different responses, a little over, and we ran it for 10 weeks and completed a summary study at the end of 10 weeks. We found that some of the major challenges were that there were too many meetings and mental and physical health challenges. Physical things like their chair was uncomfortable at home, or they had a lot of headaches from being on the screen all day, or dry eyes. Mental challenges from being isolated or fears of COVID-19, or just missing being at work. However, there were similar major gratitudes. Some people didn't mind being not at work and being isolated. Most people were very thankful for their family, even though family often showed up as a distraction on the challenges side. And people were very happy for the flexibility. And week over week, people have also just been thankful to have a job during these unstable times, and have been thankful for the work that they get to do and for being challenged and having something to focus on. At the 10-week interval, we asked how it was to do these reflections, and we found that it actually, for almost 50% of the people, reflecting daily on something they were grateful for impacted their well-being and their satisfaction positively. We also saw that people who didn't report a gratitude, and that was a required field, so that meant they said no gratitude, then those people were statistically significantly less likely to be satisfied with their workday as well. We also used it as an opportunity to try some interventions. When we saw early on that there was a big challenge with too many meetings and being stuck in video meetings all day, we decided to implement No Meeting Friday and to add 5-minute and 10-minute breaks in between meetings so people had a chance to get a snack or go to the bathroom or even just look away from a screen. We also encouraged managers to check in more because we knew people were having a hard time with mental health. These things were also positive, with almost over 60% of people appreciating the change to have no meetings and to have their meetings start a little bit later. In conclusion, when we tried to see what was difficult and what was working for people, we actually helped people learn what was working for them. We found that when we shared back weekly communications about what the common challenges and gratitudes were, people felt less isolated and alone. And with the new future of work being so much more fluid, we know people will need tools to help them balance work and home, work-life balance, detachment, reattachment, and feel connected when they're potentially in isolated situations. I'm excited to spend the week with all of you learning more about the new future of work.